critical to us, and if you put these two words together, they really mean cooperation. He pointed that out to me the other day. Cooperation is a good word. I tend to be a little directive. What we're talking about here is coordination, and these are the doctrinal definitions of it. See it there? And then you see synchronization down here. Synchronization, these apply to the civilian world as well as the military. You just take out the word military and you take out things like combat power and you put in things like what we want then. But all we're talking about here is getting everybody in the same sheet of music, moving in the same direction towards the same end state. And on a broader scale, this becomes an issue of timing and alerting and coordination of message and in some cases delivery system, but that's not entirely critical. This is what we're talking about doing, and this is what they were very good at. Because you had the desired end state of infidels out, we don't particularly care what you do between now and then to get rid of it. And if you want this done in your area, and you want this form of government here, we'll hash that out later. Bottom line is, we're shooting towards December of 2011, okay, and 3rd BCT, the 1st Cav, rolls across the border, and we all go, yay, we won, and the embassy's going, no soldiers. They stuck to that two-word answer. If you can breathe, you can figure that out. So what kind of actions might precipitate a resistance response, and what kind of response, action, reaction, counteraction, can we expect to see from this? On your sheets, on your handouts, you don't have this one. All right? Pete and I talked about this after this was all printed and published, but the quarantine event. Pick your disease. All right? Don't care. Pick your pretext for that matter. All right, but the more we thought about this, if you have another Waco type event, or you have another Ruby Ridge type event, okay, these are almost, I think, going to end up being subsets of one or both of these. Okay, they're not going to be their own event. They're going to be in conjunction with something else. Right? Whether it's forced relocation of illegals, which may actually be a subset of quarantine, depending on what you believe that's coming out of the border, whether it's drug-resistant tuberculosis or down to scabies. Okay. But you're going to see a couple of these events, and I don't think these are outrageous because it's been a generation since we had a Waco and a Ruby Ridge. Is everybody familiar with Waco? And somewhat, Ruby Ridge is probably a more fully developed event. For Randy Weaver is one of the legitimate few cases of federal entrapment. Okay, defended pro bono by Jerry Spence, one of the greatest trial lawyers this country ever produced. Fully acquitted, $1.6 million settlement. Now, he lost his best friend, his son, his dog, and his wife in the process of doing that, and there were never any indictments handed down for that. Okay, but by the same token, you never heard that he was essentially, well, he was acquitted, essentially about it, and received punitive settlement from the government. So, but it's been a generation. A lot of people have forgotten that if they ever knew it. So how does this apply? If we have a quarantine event, let's go back to forced relocation. If we have a forced relocation event into a small town somewhere that's in good terrain, do we let them in? Do we take this? Do we risk our families' lives by bringing people into that environment? The answer is probably not. I wouldn't want to do that. So you've got the local leader of this, the mouthpiece, the visible, the PIO, whatever you want to call it, public information officer, whatever you want to call it, and hooks up one morning and finds the sheriff's office, or whatever, DHS, all right, surrounding his house. Now you're rapidly developing into one of these. The whole county commission bows up, to use the local term, and decides to do this. You may find the courthouse under siege. And this is kind of the Bob Wright effect, okay, when, I don't know how many of you know that, when Bob was asked, who's a militia leader in New Mexico, was asked if there's another Waco type event, are the militia's going to turn out, and Bob said in effect, no, there's plenty of you guys around here. Okay. We're going to talk a little bit about again, coordination and synchronization of that as we move on into this. So essentially we're into this. Where we're at on all this is that the resistance currently is in the reactive mode. Nobody, I think, that has any credibility or a lick of sense, for that matter, is going to say, let's go out there and attack somebody. Right? That's just lunacy on the face of it. It goes back to if you're going to get mashed flat in no time at all. And that's usually what happened in Iraq and Afghanistan when they got froggy and decided, hey, we can do this because we got a bunch of people. Yeah, good luck with that, pal. Right. And that's what's going to happen here. So the actions that we're talking about here are regime actions, or op-4 actions. Okay, actions inimical to free men and what we're talking about here. So we're a little bit in the reactive mode. Actually, we're a lot in reactive mode. So what kind of reactions are we talking about? Well, if we go back to the forced immigration of folks who may have diseases, on a big scale, here's what you're talking about. Some of this you can do now, the bottom two, actually the bottom three of their bullets, is establish a communication system, redundant communication system, preferably redundant and secure. Okay, so you can let people know what's going on. All right, biohazard prep, and I don't mean a pallet full of mop suits by that necessarily, but the usual, and if you go to some of the DHS websites, I'll tell you how to look up shelter in place. This is what we're talking about. And the plan for the long haul. And that is classes of supply, and if you're familiar with the military system, we have 10 classes of supply, class 1 through class 10. Okay, and they range from food and water down to shovels, picks, and seeds, to include tanks, weapons, spare parts, communications, petroleum, lubrication. All right, and it's a good place to start, and you can pull that up online, and if you can start filling in the blanks in your classes of supply, you're well on your way to doing something there. All right. C4I, which is Command Control Communications Computers, and is the I information or intelligence?
Oh, say again?
Is the I in C4I information?
Yes, that's correct.
Okay. Command Control Communications Computers and Information. Okay. That kind of comes under the multiple comms thing, but it also comes under your all-source collection element, analysis, and dissemination. And make sure that you have a way to get that out. Now that may be something as simple as walking to your neighbor and handing them a thumb drive. It may be putting digital packets over PSK31 or Olivia or whatever else is out there. Maybe in some cases resurrecting some old message formats and learning your Morse code. And force management. By that I mean if you get into, here come 30 buses full of potential problems and you decide to block the roads into your town, how long can you do that? And it's not one person, one day. You're talking about rotating people, you're talking about logistical issues, you're talking about hygiene issues, you're talking about all these things. And suddenly, your little 8-man band trying to secure something the size of, I don't know, Dahlonega. Dahlonega is a good, easily secured place, not very many roads, and they're very narrow and twisty. Okay? But you're going to talk about force management issues, and how many people can you put out there and sustain, okay? Sustain. How do you communicate between roadblocks and block routes in to include airfields? Now the simplest way to block an airfield is everybody take your spare car and park it on it, the keys in your pocket and walk away.